Hi everybody, good evening. My name is Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, as I was listening to the opening, as you were listening to it, I heard the line, and now we know. And we do know. Now we do know it's time for us to come together. We do know it's time for us to really experience the love and the connectedness that we all share. You know, any doubts we had about that being the experience of truth, of love, are just fading away, and we can't afford anymore to wait to have that experience of love, to wait to have that experience of connectedness, of to know that no separation exists in all of us, in the dolphins and the whales. I mean, I say this so often, but it's just time, and it's time now, and that momentum is picking up. It's picking up for all of us. It's picking up all over the globe. And tonight, again, we have with us people whose lives, again, are dedicated to having that experience, and sharing that experience with others. We have Carolyn Kleefeld, who's an acclaimed poet and philosopher and artist. Her new book, The Alchemy of Possibility, is basically, it's a handbook, it's a guidebook for universal growth. And in that, her art, her paintings are scattered throughout the book, and they're just magnificent synthesis with her poetry and with her philosophy into expressing that love and that oneness and that moment of consciousness where love really exists, where the moment of truth is now. So she's with us tonight, and we have 8 to 10 of her magnificent paintings, the real paintings here with us tonight, and we're going to try to show you as many of them as we can. And we also have Lessia with us tonight and her gang of girls. She's an international award-winning singer-songwriter. Her music, Lessia's music, has been performed by artists and individual artists and choirs all over the world. Her new album, It's All How You See Things, is just an extraordinary piece of love and work. And she is a voice and music teacher, and she works with, you know, all sorts of teenagers. And tonight we have with us, as backup, as a harmony with her, 6 beautiful little teenage girls from the, I think, 10 to 15. So it's a show where there's just so much love coming from so many different directions, but all ending up in an experience of connectedness, an experience that we're all one. So whatever differences we thought we had when we came into this moment, wherever you're watching this show, throughout the world, wherever it is, let's come together. There's no difference between us, no color, no race, no religion, nothing can separate us. For this next hour at least, let's let the love of Carolyn, Leslie, and the girls and myself bring us all more into that experience. So as we normally do at this time, to touch that, to come into a place of quiet, join me in a short meditation, and then we'll have just a magnificent show with art and music, and basically all that directed at that love, at that oneness. So please join me. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'm going to announce it as Leslie and the girls, but hopefully you saw everyone's name, because everyone is special to us here, but their names were on the opening credits. But just we have so much to do tonight, I didn't want to go over them all, but on the opening credits, all the girls were listed. So the first song that Leslie and the girls are going to do is Miracle, and all the songs have been written by Lessia. So whenever we're ready, please.
dream that takes its flight, and every truth that shares its light, and every time we think we might find a miracle, there's a miracle in every time we really try, in all the moments passing by, in every newborn baby's cry. There's a miracle. There's a miracle. There's a miracle. Notice that the sun is slowly rising on a universe of peace, where we won't take anything for granted, but waters never cease. We're taking time to really know our neighbors, taking time to lend a helping hand, taking time to count on many blessings, 'cause we finally understand. And every dream that takes its flight, and every truth that shares its light, and every time we think we might find a miracle, there's a miracle in every time we really try, in all the moments passing by, in every newborn baby's cry. There's a miracle. There's a miracle. Oh, there's a miracle. Oh, there's a miracle. Oh, there's a miracle. Oh, there's a miracle. And every dream that takes its flight, and every truth that shares its light, and every time we think we might find a miracle, there's a miracle in every time we really try, in all the moments passing by, in every newborn baby's cry. There's a miracle. Can you feel them? There's a miracle. Do you see them? There's a miracle. Do you know them? There's a miracle.
Wow. Thank you, Lessia and the girls. Thank you. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi.
So what's the miracle in your life?
Well, to begin with, being here tonight with you and all these wonderful people, and gives me a chance to thank Andy Lakey and Linda Van Allen and Francis Jeffrey and Patricia Holt.
It's like she won the Academy Award. She's thanking everybody.
Well, because
Coming
they're
on
like,
Bridging Heaven and Earth is not
well,
like...
what I mean is that they have been like angels and envoy angels in my life, and so they're miracles in themselves, you know, bringing me and helping me to be here. And so I just feel like our relationships and love and meaningful relationships we have with people are like miracles in themselves, you know, that the universe brings us these gifts and of people and relationships and love and connectedness, as you talk about.
So,
Yeah.
so is that what like motivated you to write this new book, to let that experience out, to bring your paintings and your poetry and that experience of like, you know, the Zen moment of the miracle of all things?
Yeah, I think there's some innate need to, when you work and you express, you know, you create these, you want to communicate them to other people. There's like that need to want to express, you know, the meaningful things to yourself and share it. So it does come from definitely, you know, a love for other people and a care for them and the sharing, you know, of what it means to get it out there. And Definitely, yeah.
So, how did it work that one of the ways that your love manifests was through art and painting? How did that, was that a long-standing thing when you were 2 years old?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. When I was a kid, I used to, I saw a sunbeam coming into my room, and I saw the dust particles, and as a poetic kind of a child, I interpreted the dust particles as being like little people, and then I started drawing them, and I created this tribe, and then I hung the pictures up all around my room, and started to write little stories and pretend I was sick so I could stay home from school and create these little stories, So it was like that was one of my little miracles, that the dust particles came in and I saw them that way and I interpreted it that way and started to write about them, and wrote my first book when I was like 7 and 8 years old, and illustrated it. And so it starts early, who we are and what we need to do, Our particular communications are all different, and it seems to start very early.
Did you find yourself like drawn away from that? Because a lot of times we know it when we're a child.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So how did that, tell us your story a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely the schools and what's expected of us can take, definitely takes you away from all that, or can. And so it really took many years, really, until I had the time and the space to really get back to what I had in childhood. It was sort of like the second part of my life. My kids were old enough, they were 10 and 11, and they understood, and we discussed it, and I said, I need time, for my work and my poetry, which was sitting in drawers, and finally had, the time and the space to spend my time doing that, Again, because as a child I'd done it, but I, had years in between where I, hardly knew it existed, really. It was kind of, I had journals and stuff, but I hadn't had the time, to really devote myself.
So did you find yourself having to like unwind a lot of stuff you had learned to get back to that childlike quality?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like really what I call destructuring, where I got out of these habits of feeling like I couldn't just kind of relax and be in a meditative state that I always had to be doing and being and accomplishing. And, I'd grown up in a very competitive kind of society, and I'd been in Beverly Hills for years, and there was just emphasis on a whole way of living that it took me years really to get into that meditative space where I felt, I could get into a quality of life without all that acceleration and fastness. And
yeah, it's interesting.
So it was like going backwards in a way,
we think we have to add on, but most of the time we really need to unwind.
Exactly, exactly, yeah.
So, and now you live in like a somewhat isolated area in Big Sur, California.
Right, on the top of a mountain surrounded by the sea, and and I paint outside with these incredible views. I see the moon coming up and the sun going down, and just huge skies, and it really adds to the expansive quality, that I can have in my painting, because I'm totally in touch with nature, on a very intimate level, which I couldn't, when I lived in the city. So the work kind of expresses that, not having a ceiling in your head, you having your mind open, and letting the energies come through you, and then expressing your own personal experiences, that have deep impressions, and those go into the art, like it's a very, for me, it's a very meditative kind of experience. It can be like an ecstatic meditation. Other times it's very laborious and hard work, in the detail parts and so forth. But it expresses, my work to me expresses a way of life and a quality of life that is very sensorial. Where you're involved with color, like you have here, flowers and nature and fragrance and all the senses, and. And I have themes. I have the lovers' themes, which I see one of the paintings that's up over there is moon angels over there. And that expresses the beautiful nights that I have where I live, where I can swim at night and look out on the ocean and see the moon on the tides and, be in touch with nature in a continual, intimate kind of dialogue. And then when you stay in touch with, with the wilderness on that level, then you keep that within yourself. So it's a very regenerating process. And
so you use nature as like a meditative tool in a way of experiencing and then expressing. Mm-hmm. Would you describe it as the infinite or love or?
Definitely, yeah, infinity, and I happen to I have great views. So you feel that eternal endlessness to things, and then the climate's always changing, and you always see new beautiful things, and so it keeps you moving and changing, keeping your mind open, and. Definitely, yeah. And then you see yourself reflected in nature, in the wilderness. You see things within yourself, you know, that are the same things going on. You see your relationship to climates, you know, and how you have the same, my first book, Climates of the Mind, you know, about how you have the climates within yourself they're in nature, and just keeping in touch on that level. It's just very regenerating, and also, you know, you see a certain, it's like a mirror of your soul. You know, the wilderness is like a mirror of your soul. You know, it's like there's a completeness in nature and then it plays back to you, and you just feel good, you know, being in touch on that level.
So did you, before that nature became that experience for you, did you ever like pursue spiritual paths as they're known, or different meditations or anything like that?
Well, I kind of explored on my own. I like to experiment. My work is all about experiment and exploration and treating life in that way, where you, in a way, I actually function opposite from what's going on, you know, in this country, really, because I kind of like to just let things happen and go into it on a meditative level without purpose, without knowing what I'm doing, and just let the energies and the colors. The color to me expresses emotion and you know, feeling, and so I just kind of let the colors lead me, and then music is a huge part of it. I think music is life, you know, and that it's all about electrical, you know. So the lyrics just kind of come through me, and the colors, and they lead me, and I let them take me, you know, and I like to be that way about life, so that you have continual wonder when you live that way. And synchronicity that blows your mind, you know, you go, oh my God, you know, this is right, you know, because of all the things that happen when you're letting the Taoistic way lead your way. It's just like,
how would you define that for people who are not as familiar with it as you?
Yeah, well, I've just fallen into it. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, and that's what, you know, has made it so interesting. It's, you know, I think it comes with seeing that we are, you know, like localized personalities here on Earth. I mean, our personalities, you know, we're like localized, but that we're coming from that infinite place, and that the sources and the energies that be come through us, and we can totally trust, you know, that our innermost being will express itself, you know, if we're in touch on that level, that, you know, it will take us where we need to go. You know, intuitively, you know, like Christian Murda talked about, you know, the sublime intuition, you know, and when you're willing to take that chance and live that way, there's no limit, you know, to your experience of life. I mean, of course you'll have challenges, but they'll be what you're supposed to have, you know, like it'll be what you need to have in order to sculpt yourself, so to speak, you know.
So in essence,
so it's that trust in life, you know, on a basic level.
That you
faith,
have
deep faith
that you'll get what you need when you
not,
need it, but not what you want when you want it. So you just can like let go into it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot to do with letting go, and trusting on that deep, ultimate level, and letting the miracles happen, and the wonder that comes with that. You know, it may not always be some ideal picture, but it's.
But then, in a way, if you're in the moment, you wouldn't have a picture.
No.
Because the next, you're always in the moment proceeding. You don't have an expectation, and you're not going anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, so you can just let it's like a wonderful experiment, you know. So my paintings are the same. I let that happen with my paintings too.
And do you
that's
make
why
music
I enjoy it
also?
So much. I don't.
Because the way you're talking about it was like...
I know. I
know.
listen to music a lot when I'm painting it. Yeah. It's really not, you really can't separate it. And my writing is the same way. I see, it's like an imagistic, lyrical kind of thing. And like I said, I mean, it's a basic law, you know, of nature, that everything is in some kind of rhythm and movement, you know. It's like in nature, you know, there's no rest without pause, you know. It's constantly in movement, even when it's still, you know, there's a pulse. And so I see in my art all the cycles of like regular life. I mean, it's just showing me all the changes, you know, if I watch it and I see, it kind of plays back to me and lets me know where I've been. And, you know, it's just, you know, a wonderful interactive mirror for your own growth, you know. It's ended up being that way. I mean, I certainly didn't plan it. But as a child, I would, you know, draw these creatures that I thought I saw in the sunbeam. I'd hang them all over my bedroom. I called them nanos, which later on, it turns out that...
I think George Lucas made a movie about that.
Yeah, it turns out that nano is like the smallest technology.
Yeah, nanos.
Yeah,
right.
Smallest atom.
Right.
So these little particles were...
So you kind of knew that
So, you know, again, it's that intuitive thing that if you're just open, you know,
right. All
as
the
you were when you were a
information's
child,
available.
it's all there. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So, I mean, a lot of people have, like, some sort of seeming conflict between childlike and childish. How do you deal with that? They always say I'm more on this childish side.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've never worried about it too much. You know, you get to a point where it's just words, you know.
Right.
It's all a matter of interpretation.
So, in other words, like, your way of living is like basically a breath at a time, and then the next breath.
Yeah, more and more and more. Letting go, letting go, letting go. To attachment, you know, just constantly realizing that's a major thing that you have to do in order to be open to constant growth and constant expansion.
Right. Changes
not holding on, not
the
attaching.
Nature. Right.
Yeah.
And so, are there like tools or techniques you use to do that, or just stay one step ahead of it?
Yeah, well, you know, who was it? Coleman Barks. I saw a video of him doing Rumi, you know, reading Rumi, and he talked about how it's the book of life, you know, like, you know, reading a lot of books and everything won't do it. It's like the experience of life that teaches you all of it, and that happens to me my way. Then I find out later, you know, that all this has been written about and so forth. But I like to fall into things and explore and experiment.
Yeah, but he's saying it's yours. It's
and
real
then I
for you.
record it. Yeah,
it's real for you rather than somebody else. Rumi's isn't real for you until it's real for you.
Yeah, you have to be able to experience something. And I think it's on a somatic level where your whole being, you know, is involved with the experience. And it's not just your eyes that see, but you go right into things, you know, and it becomes a whole experience, you know. Of color and so forth.
And so the book basically is just an explanation or a statement of that experience, using words and pictures to bring that feeling out in a way.
Yeah, it was like a recording, you know, it was my journals written over 10 years, and I had no idea I was writing a book. So again, I did things backwards. I just let things happen. I was writing my journals, reading the I Ching, and then I was painting and I was writing poetry. So it just all happened on its own. It had a life of its own, so to speak. And then I thought about, well, why not have a book? And then people were very enthusiastic about it. I had people just, you know, loving it. So they inspired me. And then it ended up going into chapters and turning into this like a recording of change and transformation and all the learnings I was having at that time, you know. But it didn't happen from that purposeful thing, you know. It was like letting life happen to you, you know, which is where all the wonder comes from, you know. So I think of myself as a Magoo creature sometimes, you know, that I kind of
stumble into grace.
Like a Peter Sellers kind of a person, you know, where you just sort of fall in and you go, oh, how did I get here? You know, that kind of thing.
It's always the case.
But it's wonderful that way.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I love living that way.
So in essence, I mean, it's like what Christians talk about as being born again, but there's a different interpretation. But every day you wake up and who knows?
Exactly. I mean,
or every,
really,
you know, every minute, who knows? I mean, we're sitting here and the set falls on us. This is going to be a shorter show than we had in mind. You know?
I know. I mean, that's true. I was raving about the weather in Big Sur. It's finally been good there, and then I heard there was flooding in Las Vegas. I mean, is that, you know? Yeah, right. Who knows what's next with nature? I mean, we're just the localized forces, you know. Like one of my favorite philosophers, Benjamin D. Caceres, said, "We're nature's forces dressed up, you know, or history is forces dressed up, you know, as people, that kind of thing." So I think it's fun to think of it that way, you know.
Why do you think it seems like
not
that's
just fun, but interesting, you know? Yeah.
But why do you think it seems in some ways, or it has been, let's say, difficult for people to have that experience and that knowing and that fluidity in their lives? Yeah. Well, I think we're, you know, as you know, the population problem is enormous. People are thrown into their defenses. You know, there's a survival thing. There's the economic pressures. There's all the health madness. You know, it's like on and on and on. People are really put into a crunch kind of position. So then you're into your survival instincts and fear, absolutely, and intimidation. Fear is difficult. When you're having a fear experience, it's hard to be really fluid. That's absolutely true. It just freezes you. Right. So all of that is fed, you know, just by what's going on in the world. And what was the question, by the way? I don't know. You went fine. Oh, yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, when you're living in that kind of world, you're the other energy is not fostered, or, you know. So that's why it's so important what you're doing. Yeah. Do you see that? I mean, because we do have people coming in from all over the world every couple of weeks. So
That's
we hear
true. That's true.
reports from
we
all
bomb
over.
them and then we save them. Yeah.
Right. And then we rebuild them.
Oh God.
But
Yeah.
it seems to me there's a tremendous momentum happening. And
Yeah.
do you see that in
Yeah.
terms of like your book when you go to book sign? Do you ever leave your house? 'Cause I'm not sure. I know you leave it at least once every week. But
Only
I
for a
mean, you're
show like
talking,
this.
right,
Yeah.
right. So I mean, when you
Yeah.
do you do book signings now? Do you go to the Barnes and
I've
Noble?
done that. So I kept it to a minimum, but yeah, I've done some of them.
And,
some
and
of
do
them
you
have been
find
wonderful.
that people are really excited to
Yeah.
be coming across that level of information? and
Yeah,
everything?
I think there's a certain amount of people that really need that. It's like they need it, like we need food. They need that spiritual food. And understanding of life on different levels and that kind of connection. We had a wonderful get together in Mountain View just recently, and people talked about their personal lives and really got in. And it was just like a symphony that we all had. Very wonderful and creative.
And was it like
But-
a bunch of artists and writers?
All different people, yeah. People that were into computers and people that were into painting and, just wanting to get together and talk about life on that other level, where anything is possible. And the alchemy of possibility, what it takes all of us, all of our diversities and our differences to make everything possible. So instead of feeling threatened by the diversity or difference or whatever, it's like we can welcome it. Because in our differences, we make up this, makes everything possible, I found that out with my book because I had been working alone for years, and then the last year I worked with 5 editors. So all of a sudden I had all these people working with me, and it was like, and it made it possible because I couldn't have done a lot of the work. So you start realizing in that unification, and that the energy coming together, anything's possible.
So you're finding
So-
after being like almost in a way isolated on your hill for a long
Yeah.
time that the collaborative process is just such a powerful process now.
Just incredible. Makes everything possible.
Right.
That unification where you're all working towards something that you care about. And
That
it's
passion
just
makes
an
1 and 1
amazing-
instead of
amazing.
2, it makes it 11. I mean, you really
Exactly.
can feel that,
yeah,
the surge of it. yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, we've been talking
yeah.
a lot about that too, about how the collaborative process is so important that each of our individual trips has to, in a way, give way
Exactly, yeah.
to the one.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
really starting
Yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
So I guess we're ready for the second set, Lessia's second set. And Lessia and the girls are going to sing Flying and Beyond the Bend. And now remember, all the songs are written by Lessia. And also, before we get to that, I'd like to just thank everybody for all their efforts in getting on Bridging Heaven Earth and all the new cities we're on now. We just got on twice a week in Boston. We got on at least twice a week in Kauai, Hawaii. It looks like Atlanta's coming up really soon. And we're just really excited about all your inspiration, all your love. And also, if you have any questions about, Carolyn's book or when she's doing book signings or anything like that, or when Lessia or Lessia's CD or Lessia and the girls are going to be playing around maybe Santa Barbara at any time soon, call me. It's Alan at 805-687-2053. That's Alan, 805-687-2053. Okay, so Lessia and the girls are going to do Flying and Beyond the Bend, and all the songs are written by Lessia. So whenever you're ready.
You can learn to fly if you want to. Just find yourself some faith and spread your wings. And if you make the choice for lessons to begin, at first you may be frightened, but soon you'll ride the wind, 'cause you can fly above the Milky Way. Surround yourself with light, your spirit taking flight. You'll soar through every moment of each day, knowing you are free to be all. Find your favorite star. Give yourself the chance to be everything that you are. 'Cause you can fly way up above the Milky Way. Surround yourself with light. Your spirit taking flight. You'll soar through every moment of each day, knowing you are free to be all that you can be. And when the road gets rough, traveling so tough, it's hard to believe. But hold your head up proud, say these words out loud: I will succeed. We can learn to fly if we want to. It just takes a bit of practice, a bit of time. And when we share adventures, there's nothing we can do, for the promise of tomorrow really belongs to me and you. And we're gonna fly, we're gonna soar, knowing we are free to be all that we just spread your wings. Just spread your wings. Just spread your wings. When life gets kind of crazy, don't let it bring you down. Just do the hokey pokey, turn yourself around. Don't let a little sniffle get you running off to bed. It may feel like the end of the world, but you can laugh it off instead. 'Cause just around the corner, not far beyond the bend, is a fairy tale that belongs to you, and it has a happy end. Just past the next horizon, a kingdom waits for you. It's deep within your soul. It's all your dreams come true. If the world is acting grumpy, you can tell you've hit a glitch. Well, don't let your feathers ruffle. Just find yourself a niche. A frown will give you wrinkles, but that light within your eyes is the power of the universe. It can open up the skies. Just around the corner, not far beyond the bend, is a fairy tale that belongs to you, and it has a happy end. Just past the next horizon, a kingdom waits for you. It's deep within your soul.
Thank you, girls. That was beautiful. Lessie and the girls. There's Lessie and the girls. Okay, we're back with Carolyn on the set. So you have a poem from your new book, The Alchemy of Possibility. Why don't you read that? What's it called? Is You, Is Me. That's what we were talking about. It's perfect.
I just had a feeling like it was just right on for what this is all about. We are the skin of all peoples, the spirit of all animals, birds, trees, plants, and flowers. We are the earth itself walking about. The sun's morning eyes, the moon's casting glow, the ever-changing mists, the life of the clouds, the waters of the sea, the dolphin's fin. There isn't anything that isn't you or me. As a granule of sand creates the beach, every blade of grass the meadow, every current and tide the seas. The heavens rains of joy, the spring fragrance abound. Every sound, scent, and feeling, every pulse is the planet, is you, is me.
Yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I just felt like I must have written it for this evening. So, yeah, there's just no separation. I mean, we're definitely, there's a vibrational field that we're all in touch with, you know, and all different levels of it, and it changes depending on how you feel. I mean, it all seems very musical, and also the music has colors to me. You know, that's why when I paint, I feel that the colors are expressing different feelings. Of course, there's been books out about how green, you know, is metamorphosis and change and growth and spring, and you know, all of that. And red is passion, and of course it would be appropriate, all these colors of red, and then I ended up with all these colors that go with all your...
Yeah, no, you're perfect.
It's like, it's
we're going to have to keep you here. Either that or your outfit, I don't know.
I know what you mean.
You might have to get back up the hill, but this outfit is staying.
Yeah, I'll leave things hanging around and I'll just disappear.
Like some dorm room.
So yeah, it's so interesting how color has a whole world to it, you know. See what we have here, yeah. So it's all expressing the different energy fields and feelings, and nature just seems to do such an incredible job of having everything work together so well, you know. And in Big Sur, I don't know how many of you have been there, but it's such beauty, and it's just ever changing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You've been there, have you?
Oh, the coast is one of my favorite places.
Yeah.
I mean, it used to be like every 3 or 4 months I drive at least one way all the way up.
Yeah, it's
But I haven't done it in a while, but it's every time I do it, it like just knocks your socks
off.
off.
It really does.
One of the most beautiful places in the world.
It really is, yeah. Very, very powerful, and the climates can be very exaggerated. You know, we had 70-mile-an-hour winds, and you know.
Weren't the roads shut down for
and
like
the roads,
6?
we had 2 or 3 months of roads being closed,
yeah.
Matter of fact, with this book, its labor was really something. We had to walk around mountains at night, you know, with flashlights because the roads were blocked, and you know, boulders had fallen down.
You mean for people to collaborate on this?
Yeah, well, we
had
to. Yeah, when we were having the images photographed in town, and when we were doing everything we had to do for the book, you know, that we had to do that. So it was quite a thing.
So it kept you in shape
sometimes,
over that season.
Yeah, sometimes 10, 12 hours around the mountains at night. You think you'd made it to Highway 1, and then you'd look, and the whole mountain had come down, and then you had to drive all the way back. So. You have different challenges in the country than you do in the city, you know, quite different. But then you have that wonderful dialogue with nature going on, you know, it's so right there for you, you know, that direct energy.
Yeah, I mean, even here, well, Santa Barbara is like a very beautiful place
too.
It
is. It is
because you have a
yeah.
thin strip of land between the oceans and the mountains. So
that's right. Yeah.
But I mean, I try to get by the mountains, you know, or the ocean almost every day, just because the expanse of it. But you live, it's like, so you look out your window and that's all you can see on some.
Yeah, well,
some
yeah.
direction.
Once I get outside, the house, the views are limited, but once I'm outside, it's like a 360-degree all the way around, you know. So it really has an enormous effect, your environment, on the way you think and, you know, where you are, you know, your attitudes and everything. I think it's much harder when you're living in a crowded, you know, low ceiling kind of environment. You know, like the nights, you know, lately the nights have been just beautiful in Big Sur, and the trees look so tall, you know, and the skies look so majestic and endless, you know, and it keeps you in that frame of mind, you know. infinity of things, how it
Exactly.
just keeps going forever, you know. Then you have weeks when you're fogged in, and then you have to find another way to be expansive, you know.
Right, and you
read
do that
write
by
books or something.
painting and reading and meditating?
Yeah, continual reading of people that are inspirational on that very, you know, philosophical and spiritual level.
Name a few that
Well,
have moved you
I'm
recently.
rereading people that, you know, have been known for quite a while, like Hermann Hesse. I've gone back to him.
Right. Yeah, I know.
And,
Actually, we just did a
really?
thing, the 10, well, it was just 10 spiritual books that mean a lot. And Hess was on there.
Oh,
and,
yeah. It's just nobody
Carlos
like it.
Castaneda, and
Uh-huh.
you know, the usual suspects.
Yeah, it's just so important. The people that really like to explore those interior labyrinths, you know, like Rilke, Marie Renier Rilke, and who about
They
D.H.
just break down.
Lawrence
They
and,
break
you know,
down the boundary of our knowing. So if the boundaries are down, then only the infinite exists. You know,
That's
it's just,
right.
Just
Yeah.
our conception of things that holds the boundaries in our ideas.
Yeah, too many concepts, and like you said earlier, why, you know, aren't people more open to being more open? You know, why is there all that? And it is out of a defensive mode, you know, just getting into like a conditioned defensive mode. And then later on, maybe people start opening up and realizing their lives can't expand and can't grow and they can't be progressive if they limit themselves that way, you know.
You know, it's just so much we've been hurt a lot as human beings, you know, and felt,
absolutely.
Yeah, and we feel separate. So when you feel separate from that which you know is, you know, big.
Yeah, the endless source.
Then, I mean, how could you not feel protective and not open?
That's
almost
right.
more
No,
like
that's
this, in a
very
ball of
important
protect.
point. Absolutely. I have a poem that I wrote years ago called Severed from Your Source, you know, and it was about plants and seeing them drift at sea and, you know, whatever, you know, that kind of thing. But it's true of people. Once you get severed from the larger embrace of things, you know, the larger understanding of things, everything creates a lot of anxiety. I think that's why, you know, one of our most contagious diseases, you know, is anxiety and fear, because it's like it's contagious. You know, you start.
And so is love. It's just that
absolutely.
we need to make the momentum,
yeah,
you know,
we
turn
need
around.
to emphasize the
you know, why
situation.
books like yours and hopefully bridging, you know, the shows
Yeah.
that, you know, get into more places.
Absolutely.
And, you know, somebody was saying to me today, and I'm sure somebody would say that about your book, and what is your book or what is your show about? And we say it's about the vibration of love, just putting that out, you know, without, you know, a certain sect or a certain religion, no reason, just love, you know.
Yeah, because it definitely, you know, love begets love, you know, like attracts like. Once you set that up, it's like music, it just keeps, you know, expanding, and then, you know, having like tumbleweed effect of collecting all those energies with it. So it just takes off and keeps going, you know, once it goes.
Yeah, it's really an exciting time because more and more of that is happening.
I
mean,
think so, absolutely. Yeah, it feels very much like it's, you know, accelerating, like it's.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people on this show
who
talk about the acceleration happening because, you know, coming into the new millennium and, you know, just different energies coming down, and just it's time for that to happen. It's time for the oneness to be more manifest, for the collaborative process and all our connections to be, you know, just like reconnected, even though they were never separate, but, you know, for us to recognize the connection.
Absolutely, yeah. The awareness is the beginning of it all the possibility, you know, being aware of it. And, you know. Yeah, it's very encouraging that you have a show like this, and that people are doing, you know, the people that I know, what they're doing. They all care about other people. They care about making things better, you know, on every level. You know, it's a whole caring about people, as you said, from love and, you know, interest in humanity, and certainly the planet needs it desperately, you know. You know,
it's interesting, but I think what you've been saying earlier is that once you have the experience that we're all connected, it's like you're not caring about someone else, you're just caring about you, who happens to be in a dolphin body or another body or a tree. You know, it's like, it's almost selfish in a way, but it's like when we're all one, it's like everything's, so we're not, we just,
no, I know what
we're
you're
love
saying.
manifest in a way rather than.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good way to put it, yeah. It's like you have around you what you care about. You know, if you want to know who somebody is, you can see what they collect around them, you know, because it's like, well, one of my sayings is atoms mirror atoms, which is like saying that same thing. We kind of clone ourselves in everything that we do. You know, it just shows who we are, and we keep, the energy keeps multiplying, you know, and going out there. And you could think of it, you know, like it's the grand resoundance or symphony where all of those energies are going out there and it's creating a new wave, as they call it, or, you know, energy waves, you know. And I'm sure it's true. I mean, I know it's true on a physiological level, that is really, true. So I'm understanding it on a more poetic, level, but it's like it's obviously happening, It's
Well,
a true,
can't you?
it's a
I mean,
law
I can
of
feel it
nature.
in me.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that acceleration is happening,
yeah.
and that openness to collaborate, that openness to, to not be confined to what I would think. I have less ideas that I have to fight.
Exactly.
Fight for.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like liberated from being held back from the great mystery of things, which is where all the wonder is and
the
all
joy.
the possibility and the joy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you got to be right, I mean, how joyous is that going to be? I mean, it's just such a battle.
I know.
It's a waste of energy.
Right. I know. What is right? Absolutely. I think when you start realizing there isn't just one reality to things, that everything is multifaceted and there's many different views you can take of a so-called reality.
And they will over what we call time.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you look at things from a multidimensional aspect, you see all the possibilities inherent in everything that's going on around you practically, or anything you want to focus or that you're interested in. It's not just this or that. It's like all of it, and more, If you let yourself go with it.
You never know. It's just out,
Exactly.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
It's the alchemy of possibility. It's just anything's possible because you don't know, and it doesn't matter if you know.
Right, and you're not closing yourself off with I have to know, or as you said, have to be right or anything else. You're going back to that unconditioned place where everything is possible and your mind is really open.
And that only exists in each moment. You have to be in the moment.
Absolutely.
I mean, once you expand out and you have an identity, I'm a painter, I'm a philosopher. If you believe that, I mean, you could write something on the credits.
Yeah.
It says maybe under me, Alan Host or whatever, if they spelled it right. Alan Hest or something, but, something.
I know what you mean.
But I mean, that's not who I am.
It would be very limiting to
Right.
put yourself into a definition or a frame of any kind. Yeah.
Right. Even though we do it as
just
we
as
put
a
on
way
clothes here.
Sort of as abstraction. It's like having an abstraction of yourself or something. But it's coming from, such a larger place, thank goodness,
Yeah, actually, like how people try to make things reasonable. What's reasonable?
Yeah.
And I say we're hurtling through space on a ball. Now, what's reasonable after that? I mean, the whole thing is unreasonable.
That's right.
This whole experiment we're living in is unreasonable.
Exactly.
So why would we think we can cut a piece out of it and say, oh, now that's reasonable,
I know, even that word is disturbing. I know this Caceres, this philosopher, called it like the ultimate heresy, to start talking about rationality and reason. It's like blasphemous,
I mean, it's silly.
Like, come on, it's all a hallucination. We're creating all of this, all the illusions and all the... But if it feels right, you're going in the right direction.
Right, that's
to
the
really trust
indicator.
your instincts and your intuition and your deeper feelings. And how does it make your heart feel? How does it make your being feel? Then you know that, what track you're on, and you can trust it that way.
Right. So I think that's really an important point. I mean, so you feel like follow your joy in this. I mean, if I can make
As Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss.
Follow your bliss. Did he? I couldn't tell.
I think he did. Well, as much as...
He looked a little serious in my way.
Well, he was very academic.
Right.
Very academic.
Very, either left brain or right brain. I don't know. I don't think he ever got the balance. So
I know. I know.
Well, he always looked a little stiff to me.
I know.
I don't know if he exactly followed his bliss all the time.
Well, I think we're sort of plagued by our capacities sometimes. We're so good at something, that we become a slave or something,
Right.
So he was so good academically.
We're so used to it, and it's so natural for us.
Yeah.
Even though it's holding us back, it's helpful up to a point, and then it's like,
but it can
who
become
cares?
a tyrant too,
who cares?
It's like creativity.
If you're so smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Creativity can get you and just ensnare you and work you to death, and here you're talking about, I'm liberated, I'm this, I'm that. And then you can end up with just being taken over by this creative thing, and then when it's finished,
and you're not even enjoying doing it anymore.
Yeah,
it becomes like this ritual, or like I have to finish this painting. Who cares?
Oh, I know that does happen sometimes.
I mean, will life go on another day if Carolyn doesn't fit?
I know, and I remind myself of that. But sometimes it can be very torturing. So I mean, art is like life. You go through everything that goes on in life. tortured by your own creations, enslaved by,
Your own
the divine,
stupidity.
all the, it's like you can find yourself,
Seemingly.
you think you know all these things, and then you feel like, oh, it's all the opposite right now,
Well, that's why,
And-
after you get that, after a while, you don't have to like get so behind each one. You realize
No.
like 2 hours later, you're going to think the opposite. So take it easy.
I know, yeah, you do. You yield to the movie, what feels like a movie sometimes. You just, and you get that other perspective where you don't take it so seriously, or you just say, okay, it'll change. I'm going through this right now, but it'll be different, soon, because it's like creativity and life. I mean, you have all the birthing and the dying and the renewal and regeneration. You keep going through all these cycles, just like nature. I mean, it isn't like, unless you're more mechanical in your work or something where you just work at it every day the same way. Maybe some people are made that way. But for me, it's a whole
And they're called
constant
machines, I
process,
think.
What?
They're called machines.
Well, that's true, and there's a lot of that, as you know. That's what we're encouraged to be like that.
Right. And even a lot of,
But,
even the spiritual paths of the religions, we talk a lot, it's more, the form is more important than the
I
experience.
know,
So after
that's
a while,
true.
it's like, hello, what's this about here?
I know.
It's so weird.
It makes you realize how much of the world really runs on a technical, mechanical level. And that, some of us are made, to be on the fringes where we're doing something completely in an opposite way from what's going on around
You and I might
you.
be off the fridge, like kind of faded.
Hanging off, by a frayed,
Oh, shit.
something.
Holy Christ.
I know, with the
they
way the
both
world's
got their
going,
dark
it's true.
glasses on. Who can tell what these two lunatics are up to? Holy Christ. We used to be on 30 stations. After this show, we're down to about 8 or 9. Thanks for coming on, Carolyn. I appreciate it. You've cost us.
that's hysterical.
We've worked 21 years for 21. Now, we could take the dope with the glasses, but now he's got somebody else.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, nature creates us
No, I
to
know.
be the way we are, and we're all needed, even the, as my friend, the sculptor, calls us oddballs. He says, you and I, he says, we're the oddballs, He says, everybody else is whatever, I don't know about
There are a lot
normal,
of oddballs around.
when you get to
I'll
know
tell you.
people, almost
We look around
everyone
this
is-
set, we got an oddball crew.
It's like people could act like they're normal, but when you get to know them, everyone's an oddball in their own
Yeah,
way. So,
Yeah, actually, we were saying in the break, not necessarily about Lessia or the girls, but when
Yeah.
I leaned over and said, this is a strange species, this human species. And
know.
Carolyn just laughed. It's like, yeah, isn't
no,
that-
it's so true. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, we're all created like unique and different kinds of creatures. And then I feel more comfortable about the whole thing when I think of it as like, well, we're unique creatures, living in this zoo,
in
called-
this incredible, weird experiment.
I
here on
know.
Earth.
Somebody's definitely made this. It's definitely an
joke.
experiment. I
Right.
know.
I mean, I guess the word in I don't know, Hindi or one of those words,
Yeah.
Leela, it's like God's joke. We're all part of God's
It certainly
joke.
feels like that. I mean, at its best, it's a wonderful joke, Like Henry Miller said, you can either think of life as a tragedy or a comedy. So
You might as well one you can
yeah, I
laugh
think
about.
humor is like the ultimate, high.
Well, I think, it's like how we see the whole thing. I mean, if we see it as a game that we're playing, I mean, we're playing. We're in a sense,
Yeah,
children
hopefully.
playing.
Yeah.
Childlike
That's the
in
best
this-
part of creativity
yeah.
is playing and inventing. And I mean, that's really what it's about, Like I once was kind of painting at the Julia Pfeiffer Park. I don't know if you've been there, near the waterfall. It's just beautiful. And these kids were standing around. They said, "What are you doing?" And they were fascinated.
I think you
because
better finish up.
Oh,
We got about
anyway,
5
so
seconds.
just that, that we're not encouraged to experiment.
All right.
And here's to it.
Find the love. It's all out there. It's within you. Good night. If you have any feelings about it, call us. We love you. God bless you. Good night. Thank you.